good evening and welcome to QI for a show all about joints. And joining me are the shapely ankles of Cal Wilson, the sharp elbows of Jack Whitehall, the cold shoulders of Jimmy Carr, and hip, hip, hooray, it's Alan Davies! But before we begin, let's hear your buzzers. And Jack goes...
The finger bone connected to the hand bone.
And Jimmy goes...
The hand bone connected to the wrist bone.
And Cal goes...
The wrist bone connected to the arm bone.
And Alan goes...
The minute you walked in the joint.
Oh! And then he walked in the joint.
J for joint.
J for joint. Very good. Excellent. All right. Well, now, Alan, we're going to make your life a little easier. We're going to lower the lights.
I can go home?
Yeah. Right. Now...
Oh, this is unfair. Alan gets a girl. I've got Jack.
I'm going to ask Alan... Girl. Steady, steady. I'm going to ask Alan a very specific question now. Can you feel your sphincter relaxing? It's a perfectly innocent question.
I must say, I thought it was until you asked me.
Well, what you might have said is, which sphincter?
Oh, of course. Oh.
Because you may not know this, but you have many sphincters.
Oh, I know
Yes?
I know a thing or two about sphincters.
Tell me about sphincters.
I once had... This may not be an appropriate story.
No, I certainly hope not.
I once had a bladder complaint. This is not STI. It was just I was getting up in the middle
Why are you
of the night
looking at
to
me when you say that?
I thought you would understand. If you go to the doctor, sometimes they say, well, look, we're going to pop a camera in, we're going to have an explore. And it was in my bladder. There was a bit of an issue in my bladder. So they decided to get a camera and just pop it in my bladder. And obviously the easiest way to get in is through
the schlong.
Is through the schlong. And I imagined a camera would be like the width of a human hair. It was like a pen.
Oh!
And they fed it in, and it was about 10 years ago I had this.
Right,
and it was about 10 years ago, and it was a lovely nurse that was doing the procedure. And as she sort of fed it, she went, "What do you do for a living?" She was trying to start conversation at this awkward moment in a man's life. She went, "What do you do for a living?" I went, "I'm a comedian." And she went, "Tell us a joke." And it is a matter of professional pride that I did.
Oh, well done.
They offer you the DVD, though, at the end, didn't they? If they put a camera in you, you get given the DVD. But for what, eventuality? My dad got one inside of his things.
Yes.
But, like, when is that appropriate?
Doings.
At Christmas. Oh, let's not watch The Great Escape this year. Let's watch your dad's something.
The Great Escape is presumably when they pull the camera out.
Oh!
The reason I mention that is because of there are two sphincters on the way in. And actually, the painful bit is when they have to go, we're just going to go through the sphincter. You might feel a little tightening.
Yeah.
You might feel a little something. Yes, and it's got a camera.
It looks like you're playing snooker or something. You're just going to hit the camera into the...
The point is, a sphincter is a ring of muscle that can contract and expand. And we lowered the lights so that your eye sphincters, your optic sphincters, will have dilated your eyes, Alan. So your sphincters will have relaxed.
All of my sphincters are clenched. Oh. There's no photograph in my innards this evening.
They can expand or contract.
We have
sight and delight.
Endoscope here that you may... No, we don't worry, it's all right. It's fine. You really won't.
I did have a similar experience to Jimmy's in New Zealand. I was going for a ladies' examination, and so lying there with this doctor doing the examination, and she's sort of tinkering away, and then she goes, "Haven't I seen you on Thank God You're Here?" Which is a TV show back home, and I went, "Yes, but why are you recognising me now?"
I went to get something looked at, which was a sort of rash near the top of my leg, so it was a slight worry. It turns out it was nothing, but I didn't know that at the time, and I went in to have it examined, and he did the thing where he recognised me, but he thought I was George Lamb. He said, "Oh, you're that guy George Lamb," and I was about to go and correct him, but then I thought, if that is an STI, I'm if George Lamb had it, then I did.
Anyway, so... You've got... the other thing is you even have within your capillary system, your blood system, each has a little sphincter, so the chances are we probably have thousands. Nobody quite knows how many sphincters we have. We have thousands and thousands of them. So, now, what is this?
Snake.
Excuse me?
Is it a snake?
Oh, dear. Oh, what
Is it a legless lizard?
Yes, it's the right answer. It's a lizard.
How can you tell it's drunk?
He keeps going, "I love you."
Best of luck, career.
Don't go, have another one.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. I mean, snakes you think of, obviously, as looking like that, but lizards can look like that, too. They don't have to have legs. And in fact, 2/3 of that is tail. as a real snake. Now, real snakes have got these movable jaws, these and lizards don't.
I think you're thinking of dogs.
That was uncanny, wasn't it? It was like a snake was in the room.
And it's
For a moment there, I was, oh, cut off, Steve.
Also, the eyes are very different. Snake eyes are very particular with this kind of film over it.
Other difference, of course, I don't have a lizard in my trousers.
Yeah.
Ladies.
Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Well, in England you get a particular...
Adders, vipers
Yes,
and grass snakes.
And grass snakes. And there's
newts.
another kind, which I had in my garden in Norfolk not long ago, which is a slow worm. There. Which is neither a worm nor a snake, but again is a lizard, a legless lizard.
My brother had them, I think, when he came back from school once.
Yeah, what do you mean? You mean in his tummy?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah, and we couldn't lick the loose... Well, not that we were licking the loose before. But he was accused of that's what he'd been doing at school, and then we had to get rid of them because he had the worms and stuff. But that looks a lot
They
bigger.
accused him of licking
what?
the Lucy.
No, because that's how you get worms.
By licking the Lucy.
I think that's how, yeah.
Oh,
you lick the Lucy.
Sorry,
and
the
you get
Lucy.
the worms in your
I thought
belly.
you said Lucy. The Lucy.
You get worms by licking the Lucy.
Yeah, that's definitely a
Lucy.
fact. That's my first fact of the evening. There we are. Off to a flyer. Lick the Lucy and you will get worms of the belly.
You'll get more than worms, you'll get universal contempt.
You can
worse.
get a lot of STIs from loo seats, interestingly, Stephen, but only if you sit down before the last guy's got up.
That's terrible.
True story.
Is that STI? Is that sexually transmitted information?
Sexually transmitted information should be a thing, shouldn't it?
It sounds like the late-night version of QI, though, doesn't it? It's like the
Yes,
adult after 12
STI.
STI.
Yes.
Welcome to STI.
provocative questions.
I like the sound of it.
All right. Well, now let's play Stick the Knees on the Elephants. You should have cards with elephants on, and you should have little red dots. And all you have to do is stick your red dot on the knees of the elephant. It's as simple as that. It's a little fun art craft thing that you can do.
I feel a little bit like we've underperformed and we've been taken to a special class.
Yes. That's
Where it's mainly arts and crafts and colouring in, and you know what? You can't fail. We've all done very well.
That's right.
I'm just doing polka dots.
Very sweet. But try and do it on the knees of the elephant if you can.
I think elephants have got a lot of knees. That's my. Because otherwise, why would you have given us this many dots?
You don't have to use all the dots, I may say.
This elephant's actually got the same thing that Jack used to have at the top of his thigh. It turns out it was nothing, but it was a real worry.
Yes.
I've marked his sphincter on there as well.
So have
Well
I.
done. Oh,
So
no,
have I.
right.
We've got
snap.
matching sphincters.
Yes. All right. So if you'd like to present and show.
So, sphincter, eyes, because it's nice to get to know them.
Mm-hmm.
And 4 knees.
Can you just tilt the cards forward a bit so they're not too shiny? They reflect on the camera.
I've
there.
gone 4 knees on each.
Are you tilting it forward a bit as
Sorry.
asked? No, you're not.
I can't get taken down to a lower class than this.
Yeah, there you go.
What are you doing, arts and crafts?
Dear.
Knees and knees.
Well, I mean,
I've
Mine's a
got
daddy
knees on the
elephant,
front, none on the back.
everyone except Alan has at least managed to put dots on the knees, which are at the back of the elephant, because the front 2 joints are elbows. Oh. All mammals, essentially.
Whoa, hang on. Whoa,
Yeah.
You're going to have to back up there a little bit. He's got elbows on his
On
leg.
his front legs, yes. His front legs are essentially arms. I mean, the bones in his front leg are the radius and the ulna, just like ours. They're essentially walking on their hands and on their hind legs. And we may think of elephants as having 4 knees. They don't. They only have the 2 knees at the back. The 2 front ones are elbows. It seems unlikely, but it's true.
That means my interesting bar fact that I tell everybody, that the elephant is the only animal in the world that has 4 knees, is complete rubbish.
Exactly. And it's a common fact you'll find on the internet, and it's a lie.
Wow.
And any zoologist will tell you so.
I felt sorry for an elephant the other day. I watched it on the new BBC show about Planet Earth Live.
Oh, don't talk to me about that. Yes.
With Richard Hammond on it. Richard Hammond was stood in front of all of these elephants in one of his tragic midlife crisis necklaces, and it definitely had ivory on it. It did! It had a little thing! That's probably one of his cousins!
They put Richard Hammond out in the middle of the night with lots of lions around, just hoping that he would be savage live on television.
I'm afraid it's -10 to everybody except Alan. There you go. That's very good. So well done, Alan. In fact, you got it right, didn't you, in the end?
No, I didn't. I put 2 knees. I thought it only had 2 knees,
Which it does.
but I put them on the front.
Oh,
the elbow.
Yes, you get the -10. Sorry about that. And in fact, we can have here, look, a man here. How many legs does a sheep have, according to him?
Oh,
4 legs.
Wrist bone.
Oh, dear, no. No.
I go none.
If you go into a butcher, you can order a leg of lamb, or you can order 2 legs of lamb. But if it was from just the one lamb, you'd have 2 legs.
2 legs and 2 drumsticks.
We have leg of lamb, and we have...
Shoulder.
Shoulder. They call the front legs of a lamb the shoulder. And if it was a pig, what are the front legs of a pig called? When they're...
Drumsticks.
No, they're not drumsticks. They're not sausages either.
Sausages is the best guess.
No, hands, actually. Hand of pig is what you go to a butcher. Yeah, they call them hands.
Hand of pig.
I've experienced hand of pig before.
I'm sure you have.
Well, I apologise. Don't worry about it.
That's why you're on that side.
Exactly. It's a court order. So, yes. By the way, how does an elephant drink?
With its trunk.
Oh, Eleni Welleny Woo.
Oh, look.
You know, there's a sense in which prepositionally you were correct, because it does drink
I don't understand
with...
what that means, I'm afraid.
You said with its trunk. You didn't say through its trunk.
Through its trunk.
It doesn't drink through its trunk. In a sense, it does drink with its trunk.
Scoops
Like
it
a
into
cup,
its mouth.
Because it sucks it up and then blows it
I know the
back into
answer.
its mouth.
They drink to forget, don't they?
That's why. So they don't suck it up, they drown. It's their nose. Any more than if we drank through our nose, we'd be in real trouble.
You can do that thing with tequila shots through your nose, though, can't you?
Oh, yes, you can.
You can, yeah. That's...
Oh.
I mean, it's not a way to hydrate.
No.
You know how sometimes if you're violently ill
Yes.
and you're sick and it comes out your mouth and your nose, could an elephant vomit out its trunk?
I wouldn't be surprised if it could. And I don't know if anybody's been cruel enough to experiment on making an elephant dependent on cocaine, because that would be a pretty extraordinarily expensive habit, wouldn't
I
it?
view that as the highest calling of the stand-up comedian. If you're doing a concert and you can make someone, you can time a joke so that someone's taking a sip and it comes out
Comes
their
out
nose.
your nose.
Yeah, that
It's
is
just the best thing when they've ruined their evening.
Imagine if you made an elephant laugh so much that something came out its trunk.
Or, of course,
And then it applauded
I remember
with its hands.
the front of house staff at the Savoy Theatre many years ago, when Noises Off, the Michael Frayn thing, told me that every single day there were wet seats. People wet themselves laughing.
Isn't that because elderly people go to the cinema?
No, it's not.
I did a gig in Reading, Reading Festival, and I was doing so well on stage, actually, someone in the audience wet himself straight into a bottle and then threw it. That's how good I was doing. I was that funny.
Does that
Hit
really
me
happen?
straight on the head.
Does that really happen? I mean, I used to
People
like
throw-
Monsters of Rock at Donington, they do that, don't they? But I
Did
think-
throw stuff up onto
Yeah,
the
full of
stage.
urine. It didn't break, though.
Well, it's like when Bono was meant to play at Glastonbury and then he pulled out, and I'd been literally saving up months' worth of piss to throw at him, and I had to wait for an entire year.
You poor thing.
Had about that much, like a vat.
Water cannon.
Bono, he does come in for it, doesn't he? Bless him.
He did his back in, that's why he couldn't do it there, which is fair enough, because I imagine my back would be pretty sore if I'd spent the last 20 years with my head up my own arse.
Oh, wow. Wowzer Rudy. Yes, your skeleton is just like Jumbo's, but apart from that, what else do we have in common with elephants, uniquely with elephants?
Tusks. Tusks.
We don't really have tusks.
We do,
let's
big
be honest.
tusks.
Walruses have tusks and...
Oh, I was thinking of walruses, sorry.
Is it
Yes.
after a certain age you get horrible whiskers under your chin?
Oh, now, you just said... What's the last word you said?
Chin.
That's it. It's as simple as that. Very oddly, the only mammals that have chins are humans and elephants. You may say, hang on, dogs have chins. No, they don't.
Wow.
They don't have chins. Look at that, real chin bone. Chin bone on the right obviously the elephant, the left the human being. But no, obviously there's a big difference, but they both have chins.
The elephant one, the actual face structure looks a bit like one of those women on Made in Chelsea. Because they do, all those women on Made in Chelsea look like a horse that swallowed an anvil, and it's just sitting there. I was watching it on 3D TV the other day, and one of them started talking about her gap year, and nearly knocked off my sofa.
P.G. Woodhouse thing about the sort of goofy upper-class person who looked as if he'd swallowed a laundry basket. You know, that sort of thick neck.
And a constant look on their face like they've just forgotten their own name. Like,
Right. And the weird thing is nobody quite knows why we have chins, as it were. I mean, we know that they're extremely useful for various things, speech and so on, but do we have a chin because we can speak, or do we speak because we have a chin?
So no one knows why we've got a chin.
No, just,
Otherwise we're just
there are things we
fondling
can do
our
with
necks.
it. I agree. We can stroke
I
it.
am currently peacocking, which is what I'm doing with this.
Are you?
Yep, this beard is peacocking. That's what I'm doing.
In as much as it's
To
what an attractive
impress-
display to
yes,
attract
for ladies. So the ladies in here are currently impressed by this. I am peacocking with my beard. I know they might not be showing
I
it
would
now.
try and peacock a little less camply. If
Okay.
Just a suggestion. If it's the ladies you want to...
Boy, babes, check this out.
That's good. There you go.
I call it the clunge sponge.
Maybe... Split the difference. Split the difference. Oh, there. Anyway, the ancient Greeks used it for earache. Columbus took 80 tons of it to America, and Henry VIII made it compulsory. What am I talking about?
Oh, hang on a second. What's the theme of the show? It's joints?
Yes.
I'm going to guess marijuana.
Marijuana is the right answer. Hemp, cannabis, yes.
So he took 80 tons to America?
Yes.
You're saying that he's
Columbus.
a trafficker? Saying Columbus is a drug trafficker?
It wasn't...
He must have had a very big sphincter.
It was pretty enormous.
Pretty nervous when you got across that, I would imagine.
Well, as you probably know, cannabis plant is also used for the creation of hemp and ropes. He had tons of it just on his ship alone, of rope made from hemp. And also, it was made under King James, it was made compulsory for the colonials to grow it and to use it. They mostly wore hemp clothing. And hemp was used as an oil, as a lubricant, and all kinds of things. As you can buy hemp oil now. But by the middle of the 19th century, cannabis was recommended by the US Pharmacopoeia for the following disorders: neuralgia, tetanus, typhus, cholera, rabies, dysentery, alcoholism, anthrax, leprosy, incontinence, snakebite, gout, tonsillitis, and insanity. So
That seems to be a list of pretty much everything, though. I would imagine if you went into the chemist, it sounds like they only had one thing. What have you got? Well, I'll have a think.
well, there's a Greek word for that, panacea, a cure-all, literally. And so they did more or less think it was a panacea, as they did so many drugs, as they did heroin when that came out, and cocaine.
Well, in defence of both of those, it will take the edge off.
But there are still people who believe it. People are very keen for the legalisation of medicinal marijuana.
It seems weird that we haven't got medicinal marijuana, but we've got medicinal heroin.
Yes, isn't
That's
it?
kind of an odd quirk, isn't it?
I suppose so, except that, of course, there is no real painkiller available except the one that we get from the poppy, which includes morphine and heroin. We just can't make a drug that does the same thing.
Mummy's hugs.
Mummy's hugs and kisses. Sweetheart.
hugs.
That's so
And
lovely.
then if they don't work, heroin.
Oh, you've got it spot on the money, Jack. Absolutely. It's illegal to sell the seeds in America of cannabis, except in one circumstance. Can you imagine what that might be?
Is it if you're going to grow a beanstalk?
No, no. It's for birdseed, funnily enough. Birdseed can have cannabis seeds in it. Anyway, there we are. So, what next? Oh, let's have another pin the something on the something round, shall we? Because we enjoyed that last time enormously, didn't we? So, let's pin the knee on the bird. So stick a little sticker on the bird's knee. That's all you have to do.
Well, it's never going to be where I think it's going to be, in the knee bit.
Oh, it could be a double buff.
Oh, not a double bluff.
Well, I'm going to put in an early pitch for there. I'm going to say it's got a knee in its neck.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that's how it bends its neck. And it's a little quirk in nature.
Oh, and Jack's put one on his...
You're not putting it on the knee, where the knee is.
But he
No,
bites.
because the bendy bit would be... Oh, no, that could be like a little camp arm.
The wings are going to be
That's a
the
hiding
arms this time, aren't they? The wings are the arms, aren't they? The wings are the arms.
Wings of the arms.
The legs are the legs, the legs have got the knees in.
Legs got the knees in. Legs have got knees.
The knees where the bend in the middle.
Going
Going knees, I'm going in.
in, he's going in, he's going in, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm feeling a double bluff.
You're just covering the entire animal with red dots, Cal.
No, I've just
You're
given
turning it into...
I've given it a perm.
You're doing it in a coxcomb. There we are. So you've... Ah, dear, I'm afraid, Alan, you've fallen into our little trap. Those,
Oh, shit.
those are not the knees. People think birds' knees goes backwards. Those are ankles.
Oh, you see?
You see,
I thought
those
it was
are
going to be
ankles.
something like
Yeah.
that.
Here, maybe?
There. Now, Jack. Points for Jack. You lose one for the bottom one, which is there. Forget that one.
It's an unusual flamingo, and then it's got a duck coming out of its arm.
It's pretty hard to deny.
Where are the duck's knees? Ask the flamingo.
Yeah. Well, there are the knees at the top. They're usually covered in feather. And the bottom bit is the ankle. I know
So
it seems strange.
there's a very real chance if you kicked a flamingo in the knees and the balls at the same time. That's some pain, isn't it?
Whoa, yes.
Because they must be up in the same sort of area.
Yes, they don't really have testicles, though, do they? I mean, they have little sexual parts.
It'd be quite
So
a
as
different...
do I.
It'd be quite an unnerving sight as flocks of flamingos flew overhead if they did have dangling testicles.
Boy, girl, boy,
Very
girl,
worrying.
boy, girl.
Do I get a point? Have I got a point?
I think you've got a point, Jack. Yeah.
There's an apple deal.
Oh, I can't tell you how much that works. That always works with
where
me.
that came
Thank you.
from.
Oh, bless you, Apple.
Starts with an apple, next thing you know, you're in some sort of therapy. Be careful.
Hey, what did Glaswegian women lose on their wedding night?
Oh, a fight.
Fight.
Fight with a Glaswegian man.
No,
A long
Glaswegian
battle
woman's
against
ever lost
alcoholism.
It's, I mean, not necessarily Glaswegian, but I mean...
Oh, they're chips.
In the past, it was a very traditional thing on your wedding to lose almost as a dowry, and the men would be given it as a 21st birthday present. It would be the loss of their...
Teeth.
Teeth is the right answer. Have them all out in one go, have a few days of eating milk and bread, and then have dentures put in. It was considered a really good thing. It would save you all dentistry bills for the rest of your life.
My mother was offered this.
Was she?
My mother got offered this when she was a young woman. I think she was about 18. She was
Yeah.
nursing in Limerick, I think. And she went in to see a dentist about a back tooth.
Yeah.
And he tried to convince her to have all her teeth
I
taken
know,
out.
this is
He
the-
sort of went, well, you've got quite good teeth, but really... It's going to be expensive over the years.
That's
just,
exactly
you know
the
what, we've got
reason.
an offer on, I will take all of these out, and we can just put in dentures, and dentures really are the future.
It does seem a bit odd. It does seem that the woman getting her teeth out on her wedding night is more of a present for the husband, really, doesn't it?
There are advantages, you might say, yes, absolutely, that there could be pleasurable outcomes. Unfortunate. Stop in vain. So,
You'd be very good on those sex chat lines.
Pleasurable outcome.
You like a pleasurable outcome with your little sexual bits?
right, let's just return to the 19th century and think about false teeth. Now, what were false teeth made of in those days?
Wood.
Wood was used, supposedly.
Abraham Lincoln had wooden
Washington,
false teeth.
Yes,
And
indeed.
he would fall asleep in Congress or wherever they sit. And they were sprung-loaded, these things, so if you relaxed your jaw, the spring would fire them out of your mouth.
Absolutely right, they did.
Leap out.
They did have springs, in France in particular, the holes in their gums, so they would sort of hang the tooth on it.
I was looking at my granny the other day and I had a really good idea, OK? This is what I'm going to pitch when I go on Dragon's Den, is to create some dentures that clamp shut every time they sense racism coming out. It'd be brilliant, wouldn't it? As soon as you start... So as soon as you get a lot of Christmas.
I've got nothing against them personally, but...
I think the word "but" would be the key. Would be the trigger word. It would be. I'm not racist, but.
Yeah.
Teeth is the answer.
Well, yes,
I
exactly.
think they used teeth.
They did use teeth,
And
but whose
people
teeth
used
could they use?
What either did poor people sell their teeth?
Yes, poor people did sell
And
their
also,
teeth.
I think dead people.
Dead people, but a very particular kind of dead person. You were not allowed to rob a grave. But
Are we
there-
not?
Not a grave, no. So there are other places where you might... I know, it's disappointing.
I'm in a lot of trouble.
There are other places where you might find too many dead bodies of healthy young men, usually, who might have good teeth.
Battlefields.
Battlefields is the right answer.
Oh, how
what
depressing.
became known as Waterloo teeth. It became almost your patriotic duty, if you lost a tooth, to fit in that of a dead soldier from Waterloo. There were these scavengers who went around the battlefields, pulling
Taking
out
the
the
teeth
teeth of the dead bodies and selling them back in barrels, and people would buy them and fit them into the holes where their teeth were. And
Barrels of teeth. How many people died in this battle?
Well, thousands died in
Barrels,
that war,
wow.
didn't they?
Imagine-
Yeah.
imagine-
And each head had 32 teeth in it. Yeah.
And the dead horses, their teeth were sent to the people from the Only Way is Essex.
Absolutely right. But right up until the American Civil War past the 1860s, they were called Waterloo teeth, even though, of course, that was, the Battle of Waterloo was in 1815, so it was, 45 years later.
There's a tourist attraction in country Victoria in Australia that's it's called Casper's World Miniature, and it's all sort of a bit bonkers, but then you get to the end of it, and you walk into this room, and suddenly you're just in this room full of sculptures made out of human teeth.
Oh, my
So
goodness.
crazy things like a tooth fairy made out of human teeth, and a hamburger made out of human teeth,
Ah.
and a castle made out of human teeth. And the horrible thing is, because it's food, like, because you're looking at a hamburger, you sort of start to think, oh, I wonder what that would taste like, and then you think about teeth on teeth. It's very grotesque.
And this is in Victoria,
This
in
is
Australia.
in Victoria, in Australia. And then when we went through this exhibition, we were all quite disturbed, and we walked out through the gift shop, and there was an elderly man sitting there eating mashed banana because he had no teeth.
Oh, my God. I always find whenever I'm in Melbourne, I can't get the image out of my head when there was a terrible crime in the Yarra district or something like that. Victorian police were soon on the scene, and I picture these approaching moustaches. Oh, no, you just can't help it. Victorian police just means something
Blowing
very
a whistle and
particular.
running.
Absolutely. There's a story you may have come across in the newspapers not that long ago about a Polish dentist. Does that ring a bell? A female Polish dentist?
She got revenge on someone by...
Her lover left her.
And she took out all his teeth.
Her lover left her and then went to see her when he had... Stupid idiot, went to see her when he had toothache, and she anaesthetised him and took all his teeth out. But apparently, it was in all the newspapers, and it's absolute bollocks. Can you imagine something in British newspapers
his
that
bollocks
isn't
off.
true? No.
What I should have done is taken all the teeth out and then made a little hole in his scrotum and put them all in there. Just loose,
Of course.
and then sewn it up again.
Yes, that is a much better idea. I think we can all agree she missed a great opportunity.
This would have had a bag of teeth hanging around.
But you can have a look at this little device. What do you think that might be?
I think it's a piece of dental equipment, Stephen.
It's,
I'd have to play with it.
certainly a piece of dental
pieced that
equipment.
together
I
myself.
need that more specifically.
I bet it's a tongue clamp or something.
No, it's not
Grotesque. Oh, is it for snipping open the scrotum to put the teeth in?
Behave yourself.
Well, yeah, presumably to yank something out. It looks like a Yankee out thing.
It's not a Yankee out
It's
thing.
not, it kind of crosses over and it's got those sort of cutting things. Is it for turning the upper lip into a fringe?
I think it looks like you might jam it in somewhere, open it up, and then you could put the tooth in.
Oh, no, it's not that. It's called the masticator. It's for people who had no teeth. You first chop your food up a little, and then you really mash it up. And so it's ready... You don't need your teeth to chew. It basically just gets your food into soft pulp. That's it. Exactly. There was a very common belief in the... Ow! You see...
A load of teeth have fallen out.
It was an extremely valuable exhibit in the British Dental Museum, and we're very grateful to them. It's
a rusty old tool.
With it.
Could use it on your apple.
I could, couldn't I?
Remember.
My lovely apple. I might do that. You're being very flirty, Jack. I quite like it. So, anyway... yeah,
Nice
that's...
thing to just tighten.
So...
Not for the first time this evening, I shouldn't wonder.
That's your masticator.
That's not your sphincter. It's yours.
So, who's got noisy knees and a urine-soaked hairbrush?
Oh, who hasn't? The creaking knees is something that just
Noisy,
happens to you.
really noisy knees.
Sounds
yeah.
like a parent complaint. You know, like your knees go and then the kid's peed on your hairbrush.
Well, that would indeed happen, but this is a very particular species.
My grandmother?
Again, we're returning
returning to
Your
her.
grandmother's not coming well out of this programme, is she? She's a
Racist, pissy granny.
Is it a bush baby?
No, it's not. It is a mammal. It's an ungulate. You'll find in Africa, in the savannah. What kind of ungulates do we find in the savannah?
Richard Hammond.
Clip springers, things like that.
Yeah, antelopes. It's a type of antelope
Yes.
called an eland, which you may have heard of, an eland.
An eland.
There it is, a fine specimen.
Can't see its hairbrush.
Its hairbrush is sort of the tufty little bit up the top, and the bigger and the maler they are, the bigger the hairbrush, which there it is, and they soak it in their own urine in order to face off other males, because it's all about fighting the other males for the right to mate and pass on your genes. And what you were talking about is your display.
Yes, I sometimes stick this in urine when I don't want to get in trouble.
That's its hairbrush, anyway, and it soaks it in urine, and this apparently is a big butch thing to do if you're an eland. But the other thing is it snaps its tendons over its legs like a guitar string, which makes a really, really very loud noise. And the thicker and the bigger the muscles of its leg, the louder the noise, and hence the more the chance it has of mating. And a lot of animals do make noises in order to attract mates in different ways.
I don't know any humans that get sort of mates by... Because sometimes when you get to a certain age, you get out of a chair and something makes a noise, and you go, was that me? Something creaks.
Yes, that's horrible.
It's a weird snap.
Or if you squat and, for a low shelf in the library or something, to look at a book, when you stand up, there's a sound of sort of crunching gravel as your knees.
I don't know at what age you start going, oh,
Yeah.
when you sit into it or get out of a chair.
Yes.
That's a weird...
Well, that was a Billy Connolly point, wasn't it? It was when you shout to pick something up. That's so true.
I had my son when I was 38, and so he's 3 now, but he's grown up, so that when he bends down to pick stuff up, he goes, oh, because that's what Mummy does.
Oh, that's perfect.
Mummy does it, oh.
Yeah, my little girl, and if you carry up the stairs, she goes, oh, so many stairs.
And
If you carry her...
Stairs. Just copying me. That was actually our first word.
I'm only 23 and I got depressed so much the other day because I turned down sexual intercourse with my girlfriend, and the reason that I gave is because I had heartburn. I'm 23, that shouldn't be happening. She said, I'll give you anything you want. I was like, some Rennie, quick.
You need PPIs, proton pump inhibitors. That's
That's
what
Oh, I
what
offered her one of them as well.
Well, that is sad news as a 23-year-old. You really shouldn't be using that as an excuse not to have sex, to be perfectly honest. That's not good enough, no. I can recommend a diet for you. Come and see me. So, anyway,
I knew this would have happened.
Stop it.
It involves nuts.
Stop it, yeah. There's a new meaning to we shall march on Whitehall. Anyway. Who wrote The Cat in the Hat?
Dr. Seuss.
Oh! I'm afraid not Dr. Seuss, but Dr. Seuss. Seuss. He spelled S-E-U-S-S, and it's a Germanic name. His real name was Theodor Seuss Geisel. But there was a Dr. Seuss, and he did really propose something, which is still held to be true today. And I wonder if you might guess what that is.
A scientific thing?
It is a very scientific thing,
He
yes.
doesn't look like he enjoyed it, though, does he?
He looked like a lot of Victorians. He does look a bit sombre and solemn, shall we say.
Jack, it's a proper beard.
Yes.
Is it physics, chemistry?
one that transformed the way we looked at the world, quite literally.
Glasses.
I was trying to stress not looked, but world.
Geology.
Geology. Yeah, he discovered by looking at rock formations and fossils, there was so many strange things in common with the way the different continents
Was he
seemed
the
to
guy that
fit
did
together.
continental drift?
Well, not so much continental drift, which he didn't quite get, but he had this idea that there was once one big supercontinent.
Gondwana land.
Which he called Gondwana land, exactly. He was the man who named it, and as you know, New Zealand was one of the islands that spun off from it. India, Africa, and you can see where South America and Africa fit together exactly like jigsaw
And that
puzzles.
photo was taken earlier, then.
It's quite a lot earlier, yes, millions of years earlier. And that's what Dr. Seuss did, and he was pronounced Dr. Seuss, as opposed to Theodor Seuss Geisel, who created The Cat in the Hat and Sam I Am and other such things. And his first children's manuscript story was rejected 27 times, because he was told it had no moral. There he is, with his most famous creation, I suppose. And he tried different surnames. He tried, for example, Rosetta Stone. It's quite a good idea. And Theo Lezegue being Geisel backwards. But in the end, Dr. Seuss was the one that caught on. So, anyway, Dr. Edward Seuss is the man who first came up with the idea of the supercontinent Gondwana land. What kind of glass does the Popemobile have in its windows?
Oh, probably the... Has he got the slidey kind so he can sell ice creams? I imagine it plays the ice cream van music. I'm not casting aspersions on the Catholic Church, but...
No, be very careful.
Stained glass.
Stained glass, that's a very good point.
It's tinted.
I love it.
Tinted.
Is it tinted? So, like, when they're all waving, everyone thinks that he's in there doing that, but actually he's cracking open some tinnies, like, flicking the bees.
What else would you say about the glass?
Well, you want us to say bulletproof, don't you? That's the thing, isn't it?
I wouldn't. Would I want you to say what?
Bulletproof.
Oh, yeah. I'm afraid we're being very technical with you. There's no such thing as bulletproof glass by any manufacturer or anybody else.
Cost me a fortune in my hand.
It's called bullet-resistant glass. They don't claim it to be bulletproof. 4-inch thick will do. It's layered with sort of vinyl and things in between, and it absorbs the shock of the bullet. But there's a really clever, which is one-way bullet-resistant glass, where you shoot into it and the bullet does that, but you can shoot out from the other side and it goes straight through.
Well, if that gets
So
fitted
the
in
Pope could
correctly...
fire
Got
back.
one shot.
Oh, they can put a gun up to it.
Possible.
It's because of the way the lamination is done. I can describe to you if you wish. It works because of the order in which the layers are assembled. The shock absorber layer is on the inside with the glass on the outside, is the reason.
That would be great if you could be shot by the Pope. That would be... How exciting would that be?
Yeah. You could shoot, he's shooting a bit, yeah, you're going to hell, I've had a word.
He'd definitely do the sideways thing, wouldn't he?
Just a matter of interest, how many popes does the Vatican have per square kilometre?
How many popes? Like,
Yeah.
buried or in storage?
No, actually, live, living popes.
One.
No. There's actually 2.27 recurring, because Vatican City is only 0.44 of a kilometre. So on it, the average would be per square kilometre.
Oh, well, I think we have it, ladies and gentlemen. The most annoying question ever asked. I think we've done it.
I understand your point of view. You're quite right.
Well, we weren't going to get it, were we?
No, you weren't. So anyway, how would you improve this plane here? How would you make it a bit safer?
Well, now...
Well, I'm no aeronautical engineer, but I can see a flaw.
Yeah.
Ryanair just
You can't see well.
They do, don't they? O'Leary would charge you for the extra air conditioning.
Is it, you get a cheaper ticket if you bring your own fuselage.
Do you know what I want to do when Michael O'Leary dies? I think what they should do is they should put him in his coffin and then build a grave that's slightly too small for the coffin to fit into. So it's just like that baggage claim thing. You have to try and put the baggage in, all his family can be trying to shove him in, and then when they can't, sorry, you have to charge you extra.
Oh, there would be much cheering. Well, no, this was a rather cunning insight that when aeroplanes returned with, battered and hurt like that one there, as you can see, it's been pretty badly hurt. But it came back, and the crews survived. But the ones that didn't come back were hit elsewhere. If you're hit there, you can clearly survive. So spend the money on extra armouring on the bits where it wasn't hit.
And that's where its knees are.
And they're the fine 4 Merlin engines. It's good, isn't it? It's a clever insight, isn't it? It's quite cunning. So there you are. But now, we're going to close very excitingly with a jolly jape, which I like to do from time to time, which is to bring out a really extraordinary mechanism, a device. It's called a strandbeest. And if you know Dutch, you'll know that means...
Strandbeest.
Yeah. What
It means shut your good times, Def Leppard.
Yeah.
That's all the Dutch I know.
Strand is like English word, strand, beach. Beach. And beast, as in hearty beast or wildebeest, is beast. Is beast, basically. So
Sand beast.
A sand beast.
So is this like a waiter that's done loads of tourists?
There's a man called Theo Jensen, who's an extraordinary artist, inventor, who has created this remarkable machine. Do you know about it?
It walks along.
It walks on the sand without any electronics or anything else like that, just powered by the wind. I mean, it's really extraordinary. This is some of the things it can do. No metallic or electronic parts, remember that. It can detect the tide coming in, walk away from the water, anchor itself by hammering a pin into the ground. That's what it looks like, if the wind gets too strong. It can even store up air in bottles when the wind is blowing and release it to keep itself moving when the wind drops. Lots of clips on YouTube, but you have to go to Holland to see them live on the beach. But through the magic of the next big thing in tech, which is 3D printing, where you can print an object out. This is a 3D printed object. It's entirely 3D printed. It needed no extra thing except to have the propeller put on the end.
Wow.
And this is a version of the Sea Beast. And instead of blowing, I'm going to use a little sort of electric fan, like so. There we go.
Oh, sand beast.
Isn't that cool?
That's great.
And that was printed out.
But isn't that an amazing object?
Oh, it looks really
Coming from
spooky.
glasses.
I can't believe you got that from a 3D printer.
I know.
I sort of feel like this is going to be bluff. That can't be a real thing.
I promise you it's true.
So how does it work? Is it a block of resin? How does it...
It's basically lasers fusing powdered plastic together. Even though they consist of at least 76 separate moving interlocking parts, they emerge from the printer ready to operate without the need for further assembly, with the exception of the addition of the propeller.
No
That's
way.
absolutely right.
That is the future.
Isn't it
You
amazing?
want to make sure you hit the right number of copies.
Yeah,
Don't you?
absolutely.
Oh, 12.
12, it does take rather a
The
long
house is full
time.
of sand beasts. No, the sand beasts!
Presumably becoming commercially available. Now you can get a consumer 3D printer for about £1,600.
Although it's available on the QI website for £12.99.
But
blown away by that.
I think we should let's hear it for this amazing machine. Brilliant. Really impressive. I love doing that. Well, that brings us to the end of tonight's question, so please do join me now for the scoreboard. We have a clear winner with -5 points. It's Cal Wilson. Oh. And a highly creditable blue and dewy-eyed second with -24 is Greg Whitehall. It's crowded at the bottom. That's a very unfortunate phrase. With -45 in third place, Jimmy Carr. But 6 of the best behind on -51, Alan Davies. Thank you all very much indeed for watching, and that's all from Jack, Jimmy, Cal, Alan and me. Spend the rest of your lives being extremely good to each other. Good night.
Back in the world of big science here on BBC HD at 7 o'clock.